Welcome back to the VR workshop. Today, we're just going to fit a clutch and get to the dyno. One of the issues that's plagued this project from pretty much the start is the clutch. Putting close to 200 horsepower through something that was designed for 120 horsepower is always going to have an issue. We fried our first clutch on the dyno when the engine was in the other frame. We fried another clutch and had clutch problems when we were on the drag strip at Yas Marina. We fried 3 clutches at Bonneville until we found a combination that kind of worked. So it's been a big issue. Over the off season, so to speak, we're looking at various options of what's available for these bikes, and there's nothing off the shelf available. Lock-up clutch would be the best thing for this. It's common in drag racing where you've got basically a centrifugal lever that comes out, and so when you get to a certain speed it comes out and physically, mechanically it locks the clutch in place. That would be ideal, but to engineer one of them and then put it into production in the timeline we've had just wasn't feasible. There's another option of having a pneumatic actuated pressure plate for the same reasons, also common in drag racing, but time is a problem. Then running into pneumatic systems on here would be time consuming as well. What we did do is we spoke to our friends at Barnett about springs. Now, the original spring setup we had was a apparent 10% stronger than OEM spring, and then we had some spacer washers just to preload the spring, and that clearly wasn't enough to give it the pressure that we needed. This spring isn't even off a Ducati, but it is physically a lot stronger. Barnett went through their catalogue and suggested that we try these. The minute you start putting a stronger spring, it puts added pressure onto the master cylinder. So we have a large piston, or larger than we have already, piston actuator, or clutch slave cylinder, which is going to have the strength to push this clutch back in and out. With that, new clutch plates. I've no idea how many clutch plates is lying around this workshop, stupid amounts. And just to make sure we're touching all bases, we've got a brand new pressure plate, a brand new clutch housing, and a brand new basket. So everything is new to give us the best opportunity and the best possible chance to not have issues. Now, going through this is the first time I've actually taken these springs out of the packet. The first, they're 80-pound springs. I think the standard Ducati ones are 40 or 35, something like that. First thing I noticed is the diameter of the spring, the inside, is too big for the cup. It physically won't go on. So I tried it with these ones, and I tried it even with the OEM one. It's ever so slightly too big. So we need about 0.7 mil either taken off the powder coating of the spring or shaved down on the cups. I'm going to try and shave it off the spring, maybe just put it in the lathe and just take a tiny bit off the inside spring, just enough to get the cups in. Because once the cups are in, they're not going to go anywhere else. Once we have that, we can start assembling the clutch into the bike. One quick section on the lathe later, and they all fit lovely. Just noticed as well that the original top hats I had are deeper than the OEM top hats, and the new top hats I've got are even deeper still. So I actually had to go back and take a slight bit more out of there. But they're good, they fit. One thing that I can see is going to be a problem is getting the springs or getting the bolts into the threads without stripping them, because it's quite tight. So we may have to zip it down with a couple of zip ties just for the initial bite, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. Let's get the clutch fitted. Next job is to fit the inner basket. Now this inner basket is an aftermarket part as opposed to the OEM, which is, there we go, not wanting to go on. The OEM one has got a countersunk center part where you put this spacer and nut in it, which obviously is not going to work for what we need it for. Depending on the model of these, you actually get different diameters of these input shafts as well. For example, that's a larger diameter, I can't remember which bike it's up from. And you can also get different setups where you just have a single nut instead of a spacer. What we're going to be using is a serrated washer and a standalone nut. Time to throw some plates in here. First we start off with the thick drive plate, which really is thicker than standard ones. Bear in mind this is a Barnett clutch kit. And then we have a friction plate. Fourth plate we have is a damper spring plate. This comes with a weird spring here, where the spring sits facing outwards. It's got a concave part in it, and it's just to dampen the whole shim stack. So once we have that, and a pressure plate. Next thing is the pressure plate. Now there's an index pin on the inner basket arrowed here, and there's a center dab on the pressure plate there. I'm lining them up. And if anybody can tell me why they're lining them up, let me know in the comments. Now let's see how easy it is to put these on, or if we're going to have to put some pre-tension on them. Wow. Okay, that's a bit of good news. You can do this by hand. Just. So I just put the standard clutch slave cylinder back in. Well, it's not standard, but the one I was using before, which is a 28mm piston, and it is tight. You know, if you were ever going to be on a racetrack, you could probably do about 2 laps and your fingers would be dead. That's properly stiff. So, as suspected, we're going to change the slave cylinder to a 30mm piston. Let's get that done. It's still tough, but it's a lot better. Can maybe do 3 laps of a track day now. Yeah, no, that's good. Yes, it is a bit ridiculous, but we need to get this engine up to temperature, make sure so everything's running the way it should be before we take this on a dyno. This is Dubai. It's 45 degrees outside. I'm not going to sit the bike outside and me outside and run this up. So some exhaust ducting, we'll throw it out the door, we'll get up to temperature that way. Nice and easy. We'll run it up, we'll go through the gears, make sure everything's hunky-dory, check the water temperatures, the oil temperatures, Just give it a good going over so we know we're good to go in the dyno on Sunday. I'm going to call that a good test. We've seen 45 degrees centigrade in the oil. We got the water up to 80. The plenum temperature is still sitting around 27, which is the ambient in here, even with that horrible AC, which you all hear every video. But yeah, it's back wheel spins, the chain's a bit tight. It's a lot of slap on the chain just because it's not under tension. It'll be fine on the dyno. We do still have a oil pressure warning on the dash, but we know that's not the sensor, it's a wiring somewhere. I'm probably going to just switch off the warning on the dash and we'll live without it. We know there's oil pressure, so I'm not too concerned about that. But yeah, we might give it one more run up when it's off the bench and outside. We'll give it one more run up on Saturday before we take it to the dyno on Sunday. What you're looking at here is a little bit of ballast. If we're struggling for traction with the additional weight in the back wheel, we can add this into the center of the bike, and it's going to add 27 kilos, which is 55, 60 pounds, something like that. A whole lot more weight to give us more traction on the back end. One day before the dyno, and the kill switch decides to die, I expect more from you. I don't expect it to happen at crucial times. Well, excuse the mess. This is just typical of this kind of project. We're heading to the dyno tomorrow. I'm trying to get everything sorted out, everything buttoned up so we can get this bike tested. And what breaks? The kill switch. The button just decides to, I've had enough and today's the day I'm going to let go. So we'll have to order a new one of them, and if one is broken, we'll order two, keep one as a spare. I do have an old Ducati control, and fortunately the switch looks to be identical. So I'm going to pop this out of this one, and basically, I say it's identical. There's 2 and a 3. Physically size, it's identical, so I'll make that work. We'll solder the new wires, at least we've got a kill switch for tomorrow. Fixed, eventually. Well, that works. Progress. You're not going to believe this. Now the kill switch is just broken too. So there's 2 kill switches on this bike. Another one is for the wrist. And it's all linked to the same system. Now, I was playing with the wrist one the other day, and I have a feeling that the salt has got in there and it's killed it. So it's just pure coincidence that it died at the same time. On top of that, the battery just died as well. So that's testing done. And I lent the battery charger to somebody else. I need to get it back before tomorrow. It's not easy.